to strap in and get ready. The leaders in NRL SuperCoach are incoming. Bringing you the ultimate insight to help you win your leagues and climb up the rankings. You're now listening to the Insight NRL Show with your hosts, Brain, Metrics, and Whisperer.
Yes, g'day everybody. Welcome back. You're watching another Insight NRL Show, a very special episode coming your way where we answer all of our subscribers' questions about 3 weeks out from SuperCoach starting. I'm joined here by two great SuperCoach minds, the SuperCoach Matrix and the SuperCoach Whisperer. I had a joke and I wasn't going to follow through on it. Thankfully, I'll keep it for another episode.
Where are the other two? Because it's just three of us in the chat.
No. Let me tell you where I was going to go with it. I was going to say we've got one of the best and most analytical minds in the SuperCoach world. And we've also got the SuperCoach Whisperer joining us. Yeah, that's where I was going with it. But we'll save that for another episode. Matrix, how are you, mate? We've got a fair few questions on the slate. So it's feeling like SuperCoach is starting to get close again when we start doing Q&As.
Well, I tell you what, there's going to be some trial matches this weekend. I can't wait to watch people that might play NRL in 4 years, or they might not. But look, that first week's a bit brutal. But I am excited to see a couple guys that I've had in my black book this week. So
yeah, black book. Okay, it's the first time the black book's come out this preseason as well. Josh, we should congratulate you. You made your debut on the official SuperCoach NRL podcast the other day, mate. Good on you.
I did. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, it was good. It's all jokes aside, it's nice after 5 years to have, I guess, that privilege to talk smack to a wide audience. So it was really, really nice, and it was refreshing to not have to be be more serious, because here it's all about vibes, as we know. But mate, trials are just around the corner. As Maddie said, we can be seeing kids that we'll never ever see again score 140 SuperCoach points. I remember I put up on my story on Instagram. I was like, "Look, what players do you want me to cover this preseason for trials?" Because with all due respect to Jake Toby, none of us have ever heard of him, and he scored 140 points in a trial game last year. So we're gonna be seeing kids that we have no idea about, and some that I feel like we'll be saying what if for a couple of seasons in the preseason.
That's it. And we've got our watch list, obviously, the players that we're watching this weekend, just to, get our fix of footy for the first part. But also, there's some relevant players running around, and we want to see how they look in their new roles at new clubs potentially as well. So we'll cover a lot of that. We're going to do a bit of a trial match wrap-up or trial weekend wrap-up on a Sunday night for the next 3 weeks. So stay tuned for that one as we wrap up all of the games over the weekend.
Wasn't we weren't talking more footy?
I know.
Good. Even more SuperCoach chat.
You talked about talking trash to a wide audience. I was going to say more trash, or that you normally talk 3 times a week with us.
I had to be quite politically correct, because it was a News Corp production.
Fair call. Well, welcome back to Insight. You can say what you want.
Fuck. Maybe they should get me on that.
No.
Yeah, beers and F words. Maybe it should be called. But let's dive in. We've got some questions. Of course, if you haven't yet, please hit subscribe and like. We've had probably nearly 700 subscribers over the preseason. Subscribe to YouTube. We really appreciate it. Everyone's rolling into the Patreon, which we also really appreciate. If you want to become a member of the Patreon, I'm not going to pay Mr. American Man today. I'm just going to tell you about it. But if Josh seems upset.
No, I was just going to say we probably should give a shout out, because we did tick over 4,000 YouTube subscribers. So obviously there is multiple sports, but NRL seems to generate most of the views. So I guess on behalf of the three of us, really thanks for 4K subscribers. It wasn't 12 months ago we had 1,000. So it's it's really nice to see it growing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to everybody for getting involved and enjoying the trash talk, so to speak. But obviously, if you want to jump in the Patreon, you want to get a little bit more access to us. Our rankings for each position are starting to drip feed out now. We're very close to finishing our draft board. That'll be done by middle of next week. So you'll be able to see where we rank all those players. So we're really excited about that. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to answer our Patreon subscribers' questions. So let's rip into these, and we'll start off with long-term friend of the show, Mr. Kaio, kicking things off. And Matrix, I'll throw this one at you first, mate, because you're not a Tiger supporter. With everyone looking at Luai, could Galvin be the 5'8" plug-and-play that we actually want?
Look, I have thought a little bit about Galvin, to be completely honest, but it was from a draft standpoint, because the way that the team was structured with Caesar and that last year, Galvin had the opportunity to shine. And I just don't think he's going to do that this year. I think that he will play some phenomenal footy this year. It just won't be in the spotlight, and it won't be, banging out tons in SuperCoach, unfortunately. So I can get around, keeping an eye on him, waiting for him to drop in price. Maybe once the team starts to get a little bit settled, maybe he can, average of 50 or something like that. But at his current price, I think it's priced at a 60, basically. I just can't get around him being priced more than Luai when we've seen Luai at halfback. And yeah, I'm not about it. But in draft, if it's late in a draft, then definitely I can get around that.
Is it the fact that obviously Luai's joined the Tigers, Josh, is the big key here, because he's going to have his hands all over that ball. He's the marquee player at the Tigers now, but also the fact that Galvin's coming off such an amazing rookie campaign. Is it second year syndrome for you, Josh, potentially? Obviously he's going to be good, but can he live up to year one?
Yeah, so 21 games last year, 4 tries, 16 try assists, so nearly 1 involvement per game, 64 average, which was unreal. I am a big fan of second-year improvements out of forwards. Out of spine players, it is a little bit tough. Galvin is so young, and to average 64 last year. If we're picking him, I'm not happy holding a 64 all year. I want some kind of upside. So with Luai, we're hoping to push that echelons of high 60s, maybe 70 on a good year. But for Galvin, it's how much better can we go now that we are second fiddle? Because Galvin had the rule of the roost last year and averaged 64. We're now being second fiddle. And I do understand that defensive approaches and defensive, structure will be focused around shutting Luai down. But I just don't see how we can improve on 64, even to get to a 68, 70. So for me, it's I do see regression. I think you'll play better footy, but I think we'll see a SuperCoach regression, unfortunately. Probably like a Clint Gutherson syndrome, one of the most consistent players on the park, but doesn't really translate to SuperCoach. So for me, Galvin, I'm more in the maybe 55, which is 9 points of drop-off. And that's just purely down to, I do think the Tigers will improve, but not enough to have a second fiddle average 65.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I tend to agree. I won't dive in too much. I think the Luai duel is also a really big kicker for me. Having that flexibility, potentially, if we're looking at a guy like Nicho Hynes down the track, even as soon as season starts, could have that 5'8" duel. God, let's hope so. That flexibility there is worth an extra 5 to 10 points a week for me. So I think Luai's probably one of those ones where if you're not picking him and you're picking Galvin over Luai, you're probably outthinking the room a little bit on that. Mr. Kaio also looks like he's pretty keen on Lindsay Smith, boys, 520K. The question is, could he put up a 60 points per game? And I guess the thinking, Josh, we'll start with you, comes back to the fact that James Fisher-Harris has obviously gone to the Wars. There's some minutes up for grabs there, but it's not as clear-cut as that, is it?
No, not for me. Mate, I'd love 60. I'd start with him at 60. I just prefer someone like Stefano for cheaper. Ivan Cleary doesn't play his middles big minutes. He had Fisher-Harris and Leota even 4 years ago were regarded as probably the best front row forward pairing and still just refused to play them. Ivan Cleary is very, very lucky. Obviously, fantastic coach, fantastic team. But he's very, very lucky that he gets 80 minutes almost out of his 11, 12, and 13. So he does, and he's 9. So he basically will just run a 3 to 4 forward bench and just cycle his props in and out of games. Lindsay Smith is going to be I guarantee you, he will have a COV of 21%. He will average 55 on the year. He won't score below 50. He won't score above 60. It'll just be what you see is what you get. And that's purely down to a rotation thing for me. So I am not keen on any Penrith designated middle. I'm keen on Ipapi if he's playing on an edge. But any middle that isn't Isaiah Yeo, I've got no interest in from Penrith, purely down to the way that the coach likes to use that bench makeup.
You agree, Matrix? Do you think he can improve on 51 minutes a game, 54 season average last year?
No, I just think it's going to be the same, which is, consistent, which is great. I'm probably just seconding what Josh said with the COV there. So
maybe 3 points of improvement, but that's just not enough for me to pick him when yeah, you look at someone like Stefano in games over 45 minutes, averaging around 60 points, and he's priced at mid like low fives. So I think there's just more upside there, but a good guy to pick up late in draft.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a good plug and play there for draft late rounds. But Brent, long-term fan of the show, friend of the show, we've got 3 questions from Brent back to back, and we'll fire them at you, Matrix. With most cheapies, we already usually have an idea on their job security by now, but this year it seems like maybe there's a little bit of a cheapie shortage, Brent thinks. Do you agree, first of all? And secondly, if there aren't too many cheapies available in round 1, is the common strategy to load up on those mid-price 2RF options and spend the money elsewhere?
Yeah, I think Brent's getting a little bit ahead of himself, and we can all do this when it comes to SuperCoach. But to be completely honest, we don't know until round 1. Like, we don't know what Ricky Stewart's thinking. I don't think Ricky Stewart knows what Ricky Stewart's thinking sometimes. But like, we need to wait and see, like, probably the last game of trials before I start to get too excited about these cheapies. And like, you hear things about your Duffies and blokes like this, and you get excited and you add them in your teams. But I do think if you're sitting there running a Cam Murray at second row forward and some blokes like this, you've got guys you can at least downgrade in second row forward to fund getting these guys up to more mid-range guys. So yes, I do think there's a huge chance of that happening. But like say Jack Gaszewski, being named at second row forward. Like, who could have saw that coming? Like, I don't even think Madge would have seen that coming when he landed in Brisbane earlier on in the year. But you know what? It looks like some things like this are going to happen. We're going to be gifted some. We will be gifted some cheapies. Like, it's not going to be all mid ranges. We just don't know. Maybe until the last week at trials, because the coaches haven't made their decisions yet. So yeah, it's hard to say that there is a cheapie shortage. Really.
Yeah, I'll back on to Matrix. I've been playing SuperCoach since 2016 and making content since 2020. Every year, whether it's a Facebook group, a Reddit, a subreddit, a WhatsApp group, a Discord, every single year there is this question 3 to 4 weeks out of the season. Oh my God, we have a cheapie shortage. We have no cheapies coming through. And every single year we get to round 3 and we're like, shit, there's like 6 cheapies I didn't start with that we need to get. So like Matrix said, it will come. Maybe this year is not in droves, but I could probably give you a list of like 20 guys that have a very decent chance of playing in round 1 that are all under 350k. So there is cheapies out there, but there probably isn't the likes of a Joseph Suaalii from 2 years ago or a Sam Walker from 3 years ago where they're 65, 70, 75% owned because the job security is just so good. To back on the point of the mid-ranges, there is so many. Shameless plug, but yeah, the official SuperCoach podcast that I did earlier this week was just mid-ranges, and Tom Sangster gave me a list of 30 names of guys between 300 and 500k, and we still had to cut that down. There is a wealth of value, and maybe this year you don't go for 6 keepers off the bat. Maybe you only go for 3, and you have more mid-ranges if the cheapies don't come. That's why I don't like getting too much into team structure, because things will change Teamless Tuesday. Remember last year, boys? The week before the trial, Chris Lewis started in what we thought Melbourne's best 17 was. Everyone ripped up their sides. They're like, sweet, Chris Lewis is now going to be my 2RF3, and he didn't play round 1. So as much as we sit here and tinker and touch it more than a 15-year-old, we don't know how our structure is truly going to lie until we have the player pool available to us just before Vegas.
Yeah, 100%. Reminds me of Trent Liero a couple of years ago as well, where he started on an edge in that last game, the last trial, and everyone thought, oh, do I have to pick? Who was it between Trent Liero or it was wasn't Sean Bloor? He wasn't there yet. It was the year before.
Was it Chris Lewis? No, Chris Lewis. Was it? It was a center. It was a bottom.
Oh, and it was Joe Chen. It was Joe Chen.
That's right. Yeah. But I mean, 2 years before that, we had Cardi and Matt Dory. Like,
oh fuck! Don't remind me of that. I made the wrong decision.
I went Dory as well. I think all 3 of us went Dory, and it didn't go well.
No, it did not go well. So,
like these things happen. Like, I guarantee you, round 3, we will have a Patreon Q&A coming out on Tuesday that people are like, shit, there's like 4 cheapies that I need to get, and I can only boost to get 3. It happens every single year. It's stressful, but it will eventuate soon.
We'll have this conversation come Teamless Tuesday before Vegas, and we'll see where we go from there. I'm sure someone's going to pop up, but there is a question about Vegas and about a cheapie, so we'll leave that for later. But Brent's last question here is Kaio Weekes an option at 5'8"? 5'8" being a bit of a wasteland. If he's at fullback, I'm somewhat tempted, but I'm also a biased Raiders supporter. So I appreciate the honesty from Brent there. We know that he loves his Raiders. Matrix Kaio Weekes, any love there, or we're maybe looking a little bit too far left?
Yeah, I fucking hate it, to be honest. Yeah, I'd probably rather shit my hands and clap than add Kaio Weekes into my team. Sorry, Brent.
Fuck.
I mean, look, I'm not keen either. For the record, I probably wouldn't rather do those things though.
Yeah, that's graphic for a Thursday night. It's funny. It's funny. Like if we have the opportunity to pick a fullback out of position, we snap the hand off. But he actually performed better last year at 7. Does he perform better in a second year improvement? Maybe. Raiders story isn't great. I don't really want to put faith in Raiders attack to take a chance on a mid-ranger. It's not like he's 400k where we can do it. It's like high fives. So I'd probably just let it go.
Yeah, it's early 5s. It's 5:30. But yeah, no.
Great.
Yuck. Nah. Look, I have the Raiders to go very close to holding a spoon of some sort. Could be wooden at the end of the year. So I'm trying my best to avoid as many Raiders players as possible, I think, this year. Sorry, Brent. Apologies. Maybe I'm not sorry. Maybe they're just in for a bad year. Corey's asking the next one, boys. Who do we prioritize the most? And this is maybe the next question besides, should we have 3-gun fullbacks or do we get a Yongi? Nicho or Cleary? Who's your pick, Josh?
Can you answer? No, can you answer this one, Brandon?
I'd rather not because this is a really hard one. And my pick's Cleary. Purely because the only question mark on Nathan Cleary at the moment is the shoulder. That's it. Now, obviously, he hasn't been cleared for full contact yet, which is a little bit of a concern. And also with Vegas being round 1, there's also that added question mark. We saw what happened in Vegas last year from all of the games up there seemed really, really fast-paced, but kind of low scoring, weren't exactly great games of Supercoach. So for me, I think the added upside for Cleary being the only real playmaker and ball handler in this team now that Luai's gone, Blaise Talangi isn't going to be demanding the ball on the left edge. I think it's going to be all Cleary, both sides of the ruck. I think if you don't own Cleary, it's going to be a real hard watch from behind your couch. He is my pick comfortably this year. What about yourself, Matty?
Yeah, I've toyed with getting Nicho instead of Cleary, especially when Nicho comes out and says he's the happiest he's ever been because I know I do things well when I'm happy. But look, the fact of Cleary without Luai and Blaise Talangi beside him excites me. I've got a question for you guys, and it is, thought I saw last year teams that played in Vegas, they were like kind of low scoring Supercoach wise. Is there like any part of you that thinks maybe don't add some of those guys that are maybe hungover in Vegas when they play, or is that just
let me add this because our friend not Des Hasler, not to be confused with Des Hasler himself, has said from round 0 to 1 split with the TLT due to Vegas, it's probably going to be better to start your Vegas guys, but will the games in Vegas turn you off players like the RTSs, like those guys, those first 4 teams playing in Vegas for other potentially players around the same price just due to the Vegas factor, Josh?
I'm just looking like I feel like we're blowing this Vegas narrative out of the bid. I mean, Teddy scored 70, Walsh scored 73, Turbo scored 81, and I can't think of who the other fullback was. Latrell.
Don't forget Burbo.
Oh, man, of course. Sitting in the Star Casino at the Supercoach launch party when Burbo went over, it was electric. I mean, even Latrell scored 110. So you've got all 4 fullbacks that featured. The lowest score was 70. So, yeah, the scores may have been low, but I feel like we're blowing it out of proportion. On Cleary, I very much expect we're going to lose money come round 3. I don't care. I don't care. The gap between him and even a good Nicho Hynes is still so much. Nicho Hynes has no value for me at halfback. The value will lie Teamless Tuesday. If his name's at 6, then I might move heaven and earth to get him. But I've been pretty open about my thoughts on maybe trading Latrell to Iongi in round 3 and then using that money to get Hynes if he has the duel. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not buying into the low scoring Vegas narrative because, as we just saw, the 4 key fullbacks, and we can chuck Cleary in there as well because he plays as the final man on that right hand side. They all scored quite well. So I'm only concerned about the non-contact, and we're 3 weeks out from the season.
That's a great point, Josh. I'm going to add Kaio Weekes, CNK,
Yep.
Will Kennedy, and Dylan Edwards now. So.
Yeah, well, you can pick 3 of those guys. I'd probably drop.
I can play Kaio Weekes at 5'8".
No, I drop Dylan Edwards because he's got no value, whereas Will Kennedy definitely has so much upside. So does Kaio Weekes.
This is Will Kennedy's year, man.
Oh yeah, as he's named in the Newtown Jets side.
Liam Myson. Yeah. Will Kennedy, otherwise known as Cade Dykes. Corey A's next question: thoughts on Jacob Preston as my 2RF1, or should I look elsewhere at that price? Jacob Preston, I think, priced around that early 600 mark. Matrix, is there any love for you? I know that we've talked a little bit on socials, and there's been a couple of posts flying around about Jacob Preston's numbers. Is he a guy that you would happily run as your 2RF1 to start the year?
Yeah, I currently don't. I'm probably hoping some of these mid-ranges eventuate into people that can be as good as Jacob Preston as well. But if you look at the draw's fantastic for the doggies. I think Jacob Preston could score very well early on. If we look at St. George, Gold Coast Titans, Parramatta, Sharkies, Newcastle, Souths, even Broncos, Titans, Canberra. I'm looking until round 11. That's a great draw. Look, do I think that there's much value in him? Probably not. But he might be 660K. You get, 50K, and Jacob Preston is last year's Olakawatu or somebody like that. I can get around, punting on Jacob Preston.
Yeah, 100%. I really like Jacob Preston. I think, when he plays 80 minutes, he averages, I think, nearly 69 points per game. So when you're looking at him priced at, I think, early 60s, there's some value there. Is it 10 points? No, it's not. But, I think at the price and with the draw, I think there's plenty of upside there with him. Josh, you did the numbers on him as well. I think it's something close to 75 that he averaged last year when he got the minutes.
Yeah, so a career average of 68.5 on 80-minute games. Last year, averaged 75.0 in 80-minute games. Has a base of 48. Price at 609. I had Jacob Preston as my 2RF1 for quite a while, and I'm very, very keen on running that idea. The only reason I don't is because I currently have Connor Watson as my 2RF1, purely down to the fact that I don't trust my hooker setup in the long term. If I had more faith in my hookers, then Preston would be there. Preston would be the guy that I'd pick. There are some concerns over Stili Tupouniua, but I think he's transitioning more to a middle these days. But yeah, I mean, he's a work rate beast. Is he going to get you those 110s, 120s? Probably not, but is he going to get you, a Viliami kick-out 35-pointer? Probably not. So I quite like Preston, and if you've got the money, I don't mind him as a 2RF1.
Fair call. All right. Matt has the next question. Is Big Red Corey Horsburgh going to be a bit of a trap? Hard to trust Ricky Stewart with the consistent minutes, but every time I pick a squad, I keep picking him, and I think you're in the same boat as most of us that have tinkered with our team so far. The price is just so appealing. We're looking at a guy that could have 600K plus upside, and you can get him at sub 400K. I think for me, it's a no-brainer at this point of the year before we see anything. It sounds like they've, mended fences, so to speak, Ricky Stewart and Corey Horsburgh. Obviously, we saw that at the back end of the year. Josh, is he going to be a trap? Because we know that Ricky Roulette is a very real thing. We've been burnt by Ricky Roulette in the past multiple times, but Corey Horsburgh seems to be immune to it when he's playing his best footy and when they're in a good spot together.
No, I don't think a trap is the right word. We're buying him at what? A 33, 34? Yeah. Just looking back to 2023, he did start the year off the bench, so let's not forget that. But he still put up 40, 52, 95, 33, 24, and then at the back end as well, when he had lower minutes, still scoring 40. So, look, it's not ideal if he's off the bench, but it's not like you're going to lose money on your investment. And there's actually quite a few guys at that price point that you can pivot to. You can move off, and some guys with dual that you can flip up to for front row forward. I'm not expecting a home run here by Corey Horsburgh by any means, but if he's starting round 1, we know Ricky likes to run a hooker on the bench, and if he's picking Matty Nicholson on the bench as well with a maybe underdone Zach Hosking, there probably only is 2 middles or 2 recognised middles off the bench for the Raiders there. So, mate, even if he's off the bench in round 1, I'm still probably starting with him in my 17, just quietly.
Yeah, fair. That's fair enough. Matrix, anything to add there on Big Red?
Just that he's always scored over a 1 ppm. So even if he plays 35 minutes a night, I think that he's still fine. Is he a trap if he just turns into a plotter there? Probably not. He's probably just fine to play on your bench. And if he turns into a 35 minute per night guy and he's averaging 42 or something like that, you just have to play him when Terrell May and whoever your other front row forward has a bye. Is he really a trap? Probably not. He's probably just a plotter, and you probably just leave him on your bench all year. It's not the end of the world. You
make a really good point with PPM there. Look, I've been very, very strongly vocal about not using 2021 stats, so I'm happy to discount those. But his PPM over the last 5 years has been 1.21, 1.1, 1.38 during COVID, so a bit of an outlier and quite high. But still 1.12 the year after that, and one in 2023. So when he's playing, even if he's playing 40, 45 minutes, he's still averaging 47 to 48 points a game. So, I'm probably not expecting the 62 minutes a game that he played in 2023. I'm probably more around that 2020 stats where he, averaged 51 minutes and put up 56 points. So his PPM's great. That definitely does hold him in good stead if he does get a bit bent over by Ricky Roulette.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And obviously, the less minutes he plays, the higher his PPM is naturally going to be. He's going to get through more work too. We saw when he played the 60 minutes per game or whatever it was in 2023, the PPM was right on 1. So the more minutes he plays, the less output he had. So yeah, even the shorter minutes isn't necessarily a bad thing for Big Red. Boys, before we cover the last 4 or 5 questions, today's episode is brought to you by the Standard Squeeze, helping you drink responsibly and conveniently. You can go and get yourself a 4-in-1 or a combo pack. I saw Matrix filling his combo pack earlier. Maybe you'll get that on the screen soon. You can use the code IFS2025 is the new code for those of you following along for a while. We've got a new code, IFS2025, and that'll get you 15% off your order thanks to the Standard Squeeze for sponsoring the show. Matrix, there it is. The beautiful little combo pack.
Is you open it and you squeeze it. It's like one of those little dicamba bottles and you fill it up to exactly the perfect nip so that, you know how much you drink when you go to drive after this. I'm not driving after this, so this is going to be completely full. And
as a non-drinker, this is fascinating stuff.
Yeah. It's sensational. Gives you that little bite, and you can bring that with you. I like to keep these in the freezer. Can I let you know? Keeps everything very cool. Alcohol doesn't freeze. For you,
stats and science lessons.
Yeah, I tell you what. So keep it in your freezer. She gets a little frosty and food grade quality too.
Beautiful. We've got Walter White over here giving you some chemistry lessons. We love that. But yeah, the good thing is it has a 30 ml chamber. So Matrix would normally drink about half the bottle. So he can only have 30 mils at a time, which is great. Keeps control of your drinking.
You can order a double shot one too, though. I was having a play on the store earlier. So.
I can see it on the shelf already, right behind you.
Yeah.
So IFS 2025 is the code. Go and grab some stuff. Thanks to the Standard Squeeze. Now, boys, we've got I think 4 or 5 more ones, and probably the most important question of this podcast so far, Josh. We had a chat about this question beforehand, and we were both disgusted with your answer. Henko wants to know original Jatz or pepper Jatz.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of processed pepper. I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to freshly ground pepper. It's either freshly ground or it's nothing at all. There is nothing worse than shit processed pepper sitting in your gums and you bite into it 4 or 5 hours later and it tastes horrendous. I am very much a plain man with condiments on top.
Disgraceful. Pepper Jatz.
Do you mind if I give you some advice then, Josh? Just a little bit of life advice.
Sure.
As you're sitting there with your plain crackers, how about you bring some pepper with? You're setting out a little picnic blanket out there under the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and I want you to bring some little cracked pepper with. Bring some original Jatz. You know what? If you bring your own cracked pepper, you could probably save about 35 cents and buy the home brand ones, and still get that fresh pepper.
I need to save 35 cents. Have you seen where I fucking live these days? I need to save every bit of money that I've got. So.
I have. That's why I brought it up.
It's okay because when Tony Abbott goes for his walk with his dog past your house, he might drop 35
Can you
cents on the
just
ground.
dox me on the podcast?
It's good fun. No, well, we had to. But guys, Pepper Jatz are the guy.
You haven't worked out. The other two are on Pepper Jatz for whatever weird reason.
They're delicious. They give you that kick when you need it. I tell you what, a little blue cheese too. I'm mad blue cheese.
Nah, not about blue cheese. Nah, you can fuck that shit up right off. Not a fan of that.
You eating blue cheese? You've lost touch with the common man.
Yeah, no, that's not.
I know.
Pepper Jatz is fine, just with just some normal cheese. Blue cheese is ass. Hanko wants to also know a real SuperCoach question, so we'll get back into things. Is centre wing Tamale a trap? Playing Vegas because Hopper Whitey's staying home for the birth of his child. You'd think Hopper Whitey's back for round 2, Matrix. I mean, I would naturally think he's going to be back for round 2 slots in there. Is there risk there going with Tamale round 1 when he gets named on Team List Tuesday?
Oh yeah, it's a mad trap. So when I fall into the trap and my arm's stuck, I'm going to be gnawing at my arm to try and get out of this trap and just see what happens, like Bear Grylls out there. Look, it's a mad trap, but it's a 200k player that's going to play. So, hopefully we get a better Cheapie, to go back to Brent's question earlier, but it just might not happen. And I might need a 200k guy and he might sit there all year again.
I'm a big fan of Tamale, Josh, but you've spoken openly about Robert Toya, potentially, even if he's not named on Team List Tuesday round 1, still running with him and picking him. So does that mean that you potentially can't go with both of these guys if they're both not named in round 2?
Let's just say, if we get more than 3 centre wing cheapies for round 1, Savio Tamale will not be in my team. I will do what I can to not start with him. But if I do start with him, I think he holds great value for us boys because Kalen Ponga plays the first game in Newcastle in round 2. Travojevic plays the second game in round 2. So we could find ourselves with a bit of Tamale captaincy in round 2. That's
Jesus
where his
Christ.
value lies.
That's not a bad shout, actually.
Who did we have last year? We had a centre wing cheapie that played 2 games. Played for South. Fuck, who am I? Played on the right wing for South. He scored heaps of points, and then he got dropped all season long.
It wasn't Richie Kenner.
No. It's going to kill me. But anyway, there was a South centre wing last year. He played 2 games, and he sat on the price bubble until about round 18. And I held him the whole way through, and it was so sweet when he finally got there.
Yeah,
but,
contributed to your team with the double captain, cup 0-0.
Yeah. So, look, in all seriousness, I don't want to run with him, but if I have to, I have to. I'm planning on not starting with him if I can help it.
Yeah, look, it's going to be in Team List Tuesday dependent. Really, it's hard to answer that question right now. If he is named, I think you just need to be cautious with the fact that we know that Hopper Whitey's not traveling to Vegas, and every chance he takes that roll back up when he is back.
If he's named and you get another 230k guy, you just go the other bloke, right?
I just want to let everyone know that I found the name Jacob Gagai.
Oh yeah, Jacob Gagai.
Remember he played for like 2 weeks. And he had like minus 4,000 break even for the whole fucking season, and then
and then he started scoring points, and that was the time that I traded him. He started scoring points, so that's always how it works, isn't it?
No, I worry that could be Tamale this year. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, unfortunately, but we'll reassess when we get closer. Now, Des Hasler has another question, which is an interesting one. And it's not Des Hasler, sorry, I should say. He wants to know what we've got in store for the podcast this year. Anything new? Any changes? What's the plan? We've been talking a lot in the off season or in the preseason so far about what this podcast schedule, I guess, is going to look like. So you're not really going to see too much change from a Team List Tuesday podcast standpoint, but we are going to trim things back a little bit and make sure that the content is much more relevant and much more I'm not straight to the point. You're still going to get what you get from us in terms of banter and a bit of shit chat because Matrix hasn't left.
I'm still here.
Yeah, Matrix hasn't left. He's still on the podcast. So we're still going to get someone leveling Josh and I out. But in saying that, we're going to try and make sure that the content is a bit more condensed. But Josh, we've got obviously some cool little segments and stuff in the plans over the next season to spice things up a little bit.
Yeah, just signed a nice little sponsorship contract today, so we'll keep that under wraps. There's also a new podcast coming to the Insight Fantasy Network. Once I fully confirm that, we'll announce that. But so the main thing is we sat down as the three of us and we did a bit of a performance review, and we really liked where the podcast went. We had really good growth last year. There were things that we felt like we could improve on. So we're going to try and trim the fat a bit because it was a lot of waffle that became irrelevant. And I don't think you guys want to sit through 40 minutes of us dissecting team lists when I'm sure you guys do it just as much as we do it 4:02 on a Tuesday. So yeah, we're going to restructure the preview and the review on a during the week and on a Sunday, and then hopefully we get a little bit more direct to the point and make it nice and short and sharp for you guys.
So what they've done, not Des Hasler, is they've put me on non-alcoholic beers during the podcast. This is what they talk about, trimming the fat. So, look, are you going to see me? Add me on Strava. I'm talking about trimming the fat. I'm going to lose 10 kilos. I am going to look like Luka Doncic by the end of this. So.
like pre-trade Luka, like the 270 that Nicho's claiming, or like the FIBA World Cup.
He's had the James Harden fat suit on for the last 6 months, and he's taken the Harden fat suit off, and he's ready to go. You can see that we also haven't implemented the non-alcoholic beers just yet in the preseason. We're on.
We're still sponsored by the Standard Squeeze.
No, because it's going to be. What's going to happen is it's going to be like when all the footy players say, "Oh, I'm off to drink this year," and then round 4 comes around, and they're like, you see post-game photos of them with a 4X in hand. That's exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah, that's it. Absolutely. No, we do have a lot of plan. It'll be a mixture. A lot of the stuff that we did last year was longer and it was live. Of course, the lives will still be coming. It will be a little bit more condensed, but we will have some shorter episodes that'll be drip fed for the people that don't want to sit through the waffle. They don't want to sit into an hour and a half or an hour live show. They just want the buy, hold, sell. Maybe you just want to know about captaincy each week. We'll have some little portions of episodes coming to you drip fed on YouTube and on Acard, on Spotify, Apple, and everything coming to you shorter this year.
Yeah, and it's of course a smaller sample size, but had a bit of success with that in NBL this year. Just some shorter form content. Some people ate it up. Of course, people like to sit down through a live, but yeah, a bit of everything. So
I think if you guys are wanting that unstructured, more shit talk, we're gonna do a Patreon Q&A every week that will be exclusive to Patreon members, so very similar to what we're doing now, but it will be exclusive to Patreon guys, and that will come out the day before our preview does. So that's probably going to be 45 minutes to an hour of us chewing the fat, talking some shit, getting off topic, answering some questions. So if you're wanting that style of, I guess, uncensored content, obviously check the description. Patreon's there. You can get access to that. You can get access to us. We have WhatsApp chats where we're chatting shit all day, every day. And obviously, a bunch of preseason articles, team reveals, draft board ranking, and stuff like that. It's less than 30 cents a day for the month. So if you're wanting that kind of content, but also the added perks as well, then Patreon is where to find that. But for anyone that does want to pay that, absolutely fine. Thank you for being here regardless. It'll be a much more structured show during the week for the previews.
And so we've lifted the alcohol ban for the Patreon Q&A. So if you really want to get uncut Matrix,
I'll be on the source.
Thanks, fuck. I'm only doing the Patreon one this year. So
we did get a photo earlier of a Berry Cruiser. I won't mention from who, but it did come through the group chat earlier.
She's polished. I might crack on.
Boys, we've got one more question on the docket here before we wrap this one up. Not Des Hasler, not to be confused with Des Hasler, has asked for our top 8 predictions. And I'm really interested to hear, because I think we're usually on the same page with most stuff, but I'd like to hear what you guys think in terms of your top 8. And I reckon we could probably come up with a consensus top 8 this year. Matrix, I guess the first part of this question, are we looking at your obvious picks in, Penrith, Melbourne, that they're going to be in the top 8, obviously. Who are the bolters for you that are going to make it into the top 8 that potentially come in, that didn't make it last year?
Honestly, I could probably see a team like I don't even think it's a spicy pick, but I could see a team like the Rabbitohs when Wayne Bennett comes to town. I could see them finish somewhere like 6th. I think the Dolphins will make that step forward from maybe a 10th to an 8th, which we might see some teams I think turbo dependent. I think we might see teams like the Sea Eagles. I don't think the Bulldogs have made big enough advancements to jump into that 8. So yeah, maybe some teams like that come in and, your Sea Eagles maybe missing out, or maybe did Knights slide into the 8 end of last year? Like maybe they just
did.
Crawled.
Yeah. I'm talking about Sea Eagles and Knights dropping out, and so like Bunnies and Dolphins dropping in. So,
Josh, there's always a team in the top 4 that drops out of the top 8. One of my hot takes was that the Roosters drop out of the top 8 this year. Do you agree with that, or do you think they scrape in?
Yeah, I've got the Roosters and what are they called? No, some irrelevant team. The Roosters and the
Cowboys
tied for 8th. So my top 8, as I've just listed it: Storm at 1, Penrith at 2, Sharks at 3, Dogs at 4, South at 5, Sea Eagles at 6, Eels at 7th, Roosters at 8th. I've done that literally in about 30 seconds. I didn't realize this question was coming, but I've probably missed someone. But yeah, like they're the sides I'm looking at. Cowboys are missing out for me. Knights are missing out for me. Warriors are going to be up and down. Broncos. So for me, that 8th spot is probably the Broncos or the Roosters.
Yeah.
But there's going to be like a clump, boys. There's going to be like 6 to 11. There's just going to be a clump of teams, a win or 2 away from each other.
I have the Broncos getting back into the 8. I have the Eels getting back into the 8, and they're the 2, and the Souths getting back into the 8. They're 3 teams that are in the bottom 8 last year that get back into the top 8. I think the Roosters drop out. I think the Cowboys drop out. And I think it's tough because, the Knights scraped into 8. They've got a really nice start to the year. Maybe they'll get some momentum at the start of the year that'll help them. But another team has to miss.
Do you want my hot take?
Go on.
Sharks finish higher than Penrith in the regular season.
Yeah, look, I don't know whether that's that hot because Sharks have been top 4 for the last 3 years straight. So yeah, I just feel like they're just, they get to the finals and then, shit the bed. So hopefully they can find some success.
They are the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. They are.
That's great for fuck up, Josh. So.
I think part of my hot take was that the Broncos make the top 6 as well. So there could be in every chance that they make their way in.
Dally M back row of the year, Jack Kosecki?
Yeah, that's him. No, Brendan P. What happened to Brendan Piakura, by the way, now that Jack Kosecki's...
Origin player.
He's going to play in the centres when Katoni Staggs moves on.
Yeah, okay. They're trying to re-sign. They're trying to re-sign him, aren't they? So
we've got back row of the year, Jack Kosecki, and as per Matrix's team reveal, we have the Ken Irvine medalist in Jesse Arthurs.
Yeah, 100%.
Dear. Cool. I think we're at the end now. We've hit that point. Guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully for the Patreon subscribers, we covered all your questions out there. Obviously, if you do want to become a Patreon subscriber and get your questions answered, we'll be doing one of these every week, like Josh said, exclusive to the Patreon. We'll be doing a live Patreon Q&A on the Saturday night before Vegas, as well as the round 1 TLT for the second half of round 1. So definitely get involved. Plenty of articles coming your way. The draft board is nearly done. We're about a week away, so you'll get that as a part of your membership as well if you join up. So jump in. Link is in the description below. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit subscribe and like, and we'll see you for the next episode. Catch you later.
Cheerio.